Doверяй, но проверяй, an old Russian proverb meaning trust but verify, is the name of the game for web application firewalls. If you think about it, web applications by nature have to trust the connections that are made from the outside to be properly used by their customers. But it's your job to verify that the activity taking place on those connections is not malicious. And of course, you trust that your developers are going to be operating with the latest in security coding practices. But web application firewalls are one of the tools in your tool chest to hedge that bet that a semicolon or input validation function may have been missed here and there. Not that would ever happen with your developers. I'm sure they always code perfectly all the time, but at least you can say you checked. And that's what we're going to focus on learning and practicing to implement in the Globomantics environment, as well as in AWS and Azure cloud applications within this module. Starting with what a web application firewall, commonly referred to as a WAF, is, what it does, and how it works. I'm going to cover the implementation of an open source web application firewall that's implemented alongside the on-premises Globomantics web application, the common rule sets that are used, and some of the basic command injection and SQL injection attacks. You're then going to use that methodology to look through the Globomantics Web 01 WAF logs and review what attacks, if any, have been detected in your environment. Globomantics, like many businesses, is looking at transitioning services to the cloud and has set up some demonstration VPC applications to test out platforms and capabilities. Using these test applications, I'll briefly cover the implementation of the Azure Web Application Firewall, some of the rule sets, and demonstrate how you detect and monitor for various common web exploits within that platform as well. And though the concepts are very similar, the implementation of a web application firewall in front of a web app in Amazon Web Services is very different. There are some additional capabilities for leveraging regex matching and custom rules that you can use to understand how to stop local file inclusion vulnerabilities without having to wait for the development lifecycle to redeploy with a patch. I briefly mentioned it before, but I want to make sure that you get this use case down. The word firewall carries so many different connotations that it's worth taking a bit of extra time to specify exactly what's happening with the web application firewall. In any version of application deployment, the operation is the same. Operating at the application layer of the OSI model means the TCP connection from a client device has already been made, and the content from the web application is being sent over. There are loads of different types of content that are exchanged between an application and the web browser, but this is all over HTTP or HTTPS. The web application firewall is the public-facing endpoint that relays the web requests to and from the application to the client's browser. This means that it is the endpoint where the SSL tunnel terminates, and therefore it has unfettered access to the clear text application information. So in this case, the user makes a simple GET request. Nothing seems fishy about this, and the request is forwarded to the web server, and the web server handles the request, likely sending back the Globomantics web page. Yet when a potentially malicious user sends in a web request with a suspicious argument or content that triggers one of the web application's rules, this activity is logged and then handled according to the rules set by the firewall administrators. Generally, you will want to block most blatant attacks, but with any firewall, it has to be tuned to ensure that the normal operation of the application is not broken.